What happens when a championship contender starts dismantling the very weapons that got them there? The Philadelphia Phillies just traded Matt Strahm to the Kansas City Royals, and the reverberations from this move expose uncomfortable truths about organizational priorities, financial constraints, and the delicate balance between winning now and managing budgets. This isn't just another off-season transaction. This is a team with championship urgency, making decisions that suggest anything but. Matt Strahm is heading to Kansas City. The whispers that dominated the entire offseason finally materialized into reality, and the Phillies' bullpen just got significantly weaker. In return, Philadelphia receives Jonathan Bowlan, a right-handed reliever with solid but unspectacular credentials. On the surface, it's a roster move addressing depth needs while clearing salary space. Dig deeper, and it's a troubling signal about how the Phillies are navigating their championship window, with one eye on October and the other on the accountant's spreadsheet. The timing of this trade is absolutely devastating to any narrative that the Phillies are all in on winning right now. Just days ago, they signed Brad Keller to a 2-year, $22 million contract, generating genuine optimism about their commitment to pitching depth and roster completeness. That signing suggested an organization willing to invest in the margins to add pieces that might not generate headlines, but create competitive advantages when games tighten and seasons hang in the balance. Then, before that optimism could even settle, they trade away one of their most reliable relievers for financial reasons, and suddenly the entire offseason strategy feels contradictory and incoherent. Matt Strahm wasn't just another bullpen arm collecting innings in low-leverage situations. He was a legitimate weapon, a versatile left-hander who could attack hitters from both sides of the plate with equal effectiveness. His 2.74 ERA across 66 appearances in 2025 represented consistent excellence, the kind of production that championship teams rely on when October arrives and every pitch carries exponential weight. He could provide length when starters exited early. He could bridge to the closer in tight games. He could close games himself when matchups or circumstances demanded it. That versatility is exactly what separates elite bullpens from merely competent ones, and the Phillies just traded it away for salary relief and a replacement-level return. Jonathan Bowlan isn't a bad pitcher. His 3.86 ERA and 3.97 FIP across 44.1 innings for Kansas City last season represents solid middle relief production. He struck out 46 against 17 walks, demonstrating decent command and stuff that plays at the major league level. He gives Philadelphia right-handed relief depth they've genuinely lacked, addressing a roster construction need that's been apparent for multiple seasons. But let's not engage in false equivalency here. This isn't a lateral move where both teams improve in different areas. Strahm is the superior pitcher by every meaningful metric, the more proven commodity, the guy you want on the mound when the game hangs in the balance and one mistake ends your season. Bowlan represents organizational depth, the kind of arm every contending team needs, but nobody fears when he enters a crucial playoff game. He's a perfectly serviceable middle reliever who can absorb innings and keep games manageable. But he's not Matt Strahm. He's not the high-leverage weapon who can dominate in October when facing the heart of a championship-caliber lineup. The Phillies just downgraded their bullpen to save money, and no amount of spin can disguise that fundamental reality. The financial logic behind this move is transparent and depressing. The Phillies are operating near the luxury tax threshold with limited payroll flexibility. They're repeat taxpayers facing escalating penalties on every additional dollar spent. They've got expensive veterans like Nick Castellanos potentially being released while still owed $20 million. They need to re-sign JT Realmuto. They're trying to balance competitive urgency with fiscal responsibility, and something had to give. Matt Strahm became the sacrifice on the altar of budget management, his $7.5 million salary deemed expendable when financial constraints tightened and difficult decisions became necessary. But here's the fundamental problem with that calculus. The reason this trade feels so short-sighted and potentially catastrophic: championship windows don't stay open indefinitely. The Phillies have an elite core right now. Bryce Harper still performing at MVP levels, Tree Turner locked up long-term. Zack Wheeler, when healthy, is a Cy Young candidate, Aaron Nola providing steady veteran excellence. They've won consecutive NL East titles. They've been to the World Series recently. They're legitimate contenders right now, not in some theoretical future window that might never materialize. This is the moment when organizations should be adding pieces, maximizing every competitive advantage, going all in on championship pursuit regardless of short-term financial implications. Instead, they're subtracting. They're trading proven relievers for salary relief and replacement-level returns. They're operating with self-imposed financial constraints that other championship-caliber organizations simply ignore when the window is this wide open. The Los Angeles Dodgers don't make this trade. The New York Yankees don't make this trade. Teams that prioritize winning above all else find ways to keep their best players and add more, not trim depth to balance budgets when they're this close to winning it all. What happens when injuries inevitably ravage the bullpen during the grueling summer months? What happens when September arrives and the Phillies need multiple high-leverage arms to navigate tight divisional races and wild-card positioning? What happens when October comes and they're facing a lineup loaded with dangerous left-handed hitters, and the versatile lefty specialist they traded away is exactly what they need to escape a bases-loaded jam in a crucial playoff game? The Phillies just made themselves more vulnerable in all those scenarios to save $7.5 million they're already spending on players who might not even contribute meaningfully to championship pursuit. The bullpen construction for 2026 now looks significantly thinner and less versatile than it did just weeks ago. They've still got their closer and a few solid arms, but the depth that made them genuinely dangerous has been compromised. They had 3 quality left-handed relievers, Jose Alvarado, Matt Strahm, and Tanner Banks, creating matchup flexibility and insurance against injury or underperformance. Now they're down to 2, and if either Alvarado or Banks struggles or gets hurt, the Phillies will be scrambling for left-handed relief options in a market that's already been picked clean. Bowlan helps address the right-handed relief depth, but at what cost? They improved one area by significantly weakening another, and the net result is a bullpen that's less equipped to handle the varied challenges of a championship season. It's a lateral move at absolute best, a meaningful downgrade in realistic assessment, and it happened because the budget demanded sacrifice rather than baseball logic dictating roster construction. This trade also raises serious questions about the front office's decision-making process and priority hierarchy. If payroll flexibility was so desperately critical that trading Strahm became necessary, why sign Brad Keller to a multi-year, $22 million deal just days before making this move? Why not execute the Strahm trade first, then deploy that freed-up financial space more strategically across multiple roster needs? The sequencing feels backwards, reactive rather than proactive, creating the impression of an organization scrambling to balance competing priorities rather than executing a coherent, well-planned roster construction strategy. The return for Strahm feels underwhelming, bordering on insulting, given his actual value to a contending team. Bowlan is a useful piece for organizational depth, but this wasn't a talent-for-talent swap where both teams improved in different areas. This was a salary dump disguised as roster management. The Phillies didn't extract a prospect haul or acquire a controllable young arm with significant upside. They got a replacement-level reliever and payroll breathing room. That's not how championship-caliber teams operate when they're this close to winning it all, when the window is this clearly open and the opportunity is this tangible. The broader context makes this even more frustrating and confusing. The Phillies just committed $150 million over 5 years to Kyle Schwarber, locking down their leadoff thunder for the foreseeable future. They're potentially paying Nick Castellanos $20 million to play elsewhere or not play at all. They've got significant money tied up in players who might not contribute meaningfully to championship pursuit. Yet, when it comes to a proven, versatile high-leverage reliever who actually helps them win games in October, suddenly budget constraints become insurmountable obstacles. The resource allocation feels backwards, the priorities misaligned with championship ambition. Dave Dombrowski has built his reputation on aggressive roster construction and championship-focused decision-making. He's won World Series by going all-in when windows open, by prioritizing talent over budget concerns, by making the moves that scared competitors make when they're serious about winning. This Strahm trade feels like the opposite of that philosophy. It feels like organizational constraint overriding baseball judgment, like financial considerations trumping competitive advantage at the worst possible moment. The whispers about this trade dominated the entire offseason. 3 solid left-handed relievers on the roster, weak market demand for lefty relievers, salary considerations mounting. The logic was always apparent even if the wisdom was questionable. But knowing something might happen and watching it actually materialize are 2 different experiences, and the reality of losing Matt Strahm hits harder than the speculation ever did. The Phillies had depth that championship teams covet, flexibility that creates competitive advantages, and they traded it away to save money they're already committed to spending elsewhere. What happens if the Phillies fall 1 game short in the playoffs? What happens if they lose a crucial series because their bullpen couldn't hold a lead or couldn't navigate a tough matchup situation that Strahm would have dominated? What happens if Matt Strahm is dominating for Kansas City in high-leverage situations while Philadelphia is watching from home, wondering what might have been if they'd kept their depth intact and prioritized winning over budget management? Those questions will haunt this organization if this trade backfires, and the probability of that happening just increased significantly. The 2026 season will ultimately judge this decision. If the Phillies win the World Series despite trading Strahm, if Bowlan exceeds expectations and fills the void seamlessly, if the financial flexibility gained enables other moves that prove more valuable, then this trade will look defensible in hindsight. But if they fall short, if the bullpen becomes a weakness that costs them games, if they're one reliable arm short when it matters most, then this trade will stand as evidence of an organization that prioritized budget management over championship pursuit at the worst possible moment. Should the Phillies have kept Strahm and absorbed the payroll hit? Absolutely, without question, unequivocally yes. Should they be prioritizing competitive advantage over financial flexibility when their window is this wide open? Every championship team in baseball history would answer that question the same way. Will this trade come back to haunt them when they're 1 arm short in a crucial playoff series? We'll find out in October, and the answer might be devastatingly painful. What's your take on this move? Does trading Matt Strahm for salary relief make any sense given the Phillies' championship window and competitive positioning? Is this bullpen still good enough to dominate in October, or did Philadelphia just create a critical vulnerability that better-constructed teams will ruthlessly exploit when the games carry championship weight? The margins between winning it all and going home disappointed are razor-thin, and every decision the Phillies make right now will echo through October and beyond.